Shalom, greetings, blessings. Once again, it's a joy for me to share with you, and welcome to this journey that you are taking with me. We're going to sit there, I'll open the car door for you, you come in here with me, and we're going to visit one more city in Israel, in the land of the Bible, and it's a city where there are people living here. No, many people may have heard the term Bedouin. If you've heard the term Bedouin, you usually associate it with people who live by the side of the roads. In tents, in camps, in little houses made out of tin, like from the movies and things like that. But the reality is that even today, in the territory of Israel, in the year we are in now, 2021, there are cities where the Bedouins live, and today we are going to visit one of the largest, which today is located in the state of Israel. This is the second city after Nazareth that has a mostly Muslim population, meaning people who practice the Muslim religion. We are going to get to know the city a little. We're going to explore it a bit from the inside. So get ready and welcome. The name of this city is Rahat, just as you heard, Rahat. So welcome, fasten your seatbelt, and let's go into the city of Rahat. Thank you. Alright, very good. We're already entering the city of Rahat. If you have to write it in Spanish, it's R-A-H-A-T. This city, as I said, is nowadays the second largest city after the city of Nazareth, inhabited by Muslims. That is, when I say Muslims, I mean the people who are practicing the Muslim religion. But actually, these people identify as Bedouins, and everything we're gonna see here are Bedouins. There are no Jewish inhabitants. Jews don't live here. It's a city where Hebrew is spoken in addition to Arabic being spoken here. But Hebrew is fundamental, since this is one of the cities that belong to the state of Israel. Now it has 42,000 dunams in size. When I say dunams, it really depends on the measurement you use of what you understand by dunams. Because, for example, not all countries or not all places have exactly the same interpretation of what a dunam measures. Here in Israel, the dunam is based on the measurement from the time of the Ottoman Empire, the one that was here before Israel came under British control. Before 1917, that is, there was still a lot of Ottoman Turkish culture left around here in this place. And the measurement, for example, the Duna system is taken as 1,000 meters by 1,000 square meters. Which leads us to understand that, in the end, the city of Rahat has exactly 42 square kilometers. I hope I made myself clear with this. And if it wasn't clear, if it wasn't understood, then just rewind the video, go back and try to interpret it. Always remember that the Duna, the measurement in Israel, is 1,000 by 1,000 meters. A Duna is what makes up a square kilometer. This place, for example, just so you get an idea of why this city is so big. Because the city of Tel Aviv, the one that is big, known for its skyscrapers and all that, it has 50 square kilometers. So imagine if this city has 42 square kilometers and Tel Aviv has 50 square kilometers. How big is this city? It is located in the territory of the Negev, and it is 12 kilometers from the biblical city of Beersheba. Remember, we had 2 videos there where we did it in the biblical site, Tel Beersheba. We will later visit the city of Beersheba, modern Beersheba. Today it is a huge city. And here, well, it's about how close this city is. This city didn't start as a city. First, it began as a kind of settlement. When we say settlement, it means a group of people who settle in a specific place. And they eventually receive recognition from the government, where eventually they will be provided with water, electricity will be installed for them. In other words, they will finally settle down. Gradually, more families and people will gather in the place, with the crowd continuously growing. They will get closer and closer until finally, the territory starts to grow, and grow. This place ends up turning into a city after all the growth it had. Now, it really did have a lot of growth, but it didn't have. Unemployment was high here, exceeding 40% among this population. That is, what they urgently needed to do was bring jobs. So how did they bring jobs here? Was it because the city was already quite big, quite well known? What they did was create a public transportation connection, so they brought public transportation here to be able to connect this city with the cities where Jews do live, where the Jewish people do live. And so, in that way, these people, the Bedouins, can connect with the cities inhabited by Jews. And finally, there they get jobs where they work inside the city, and many of them also start. The young people specifically start studying at universities, where they go to study, for example, in Tel Aviv. Many go to study in Beersheba. They receive their diplomas. Here we have, in this place, in this city, there are people who are doctors, who are lawyers. That is to say, they improve the quality of life in the city. Even though you might see a city that could perhaps be described as somewhat precarious because of how it looks from the outside, it doesn't have much similarity with one of the Jewish cities, with how Jewish cities look, maybe a little bit.
More modern.
Better maintained, cleaner. Specifically, a bit more order. But it also has a lot to do with the culture. The culture of the Arab people is already like that. It's different from that of the Jewish people. Regarding the topic of perhaps address the order, cleanliness, and organization of the city. Like I said, the city is big. We are not in any danger here. For those wondering, isn't it dangerous there? No, it's not dangerous. This city is, as I said, a Bedouin city, and we're going to talk about the Bedouins now. A little bit about them. They are divided into two lines of thought. One line of thought, it says that they are descendants of one of Noah's sons, but more precisely from the grandchildren and the brother of Aber, who came from Noah's family. And they are the ones who lived in the Middle East region, that is, the whole area known as ancient Mesopotamia. What at one time was Babylon and at another time was Persia. What today, for example, are about 22 countries recognized as Arab countries in that whole region. United Emirates, and a lot of countries, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, several countries that are recognized as Arab, and many of the people who were born there. So, then, over the years, they began to settle in what was already Israeli territory. And what was all this territory? Everything that was the Mesopotamian culture here in the Middle East. So they say, we were always here, we were from here. We are descendants of those who later obviously would adopt the religion of Islam as their official religion. And the thing is, this city eventually ends up transforming so that 100% of its inhabitants are Muslim. I remember once we came here with my wife a few years ago. We were selling, I don't remember, I think we were selling a washing machine, and an American couple came to our house to buy it from us, and we didn't really know who they were. We didn't really know, we knew they were living here, and they asked us if we could bring it to them. So we got in the car, put the washing machine in our car, came to this city, and brought it to them. When we arrived, we saw that they lived in a very modern house. There are quite modern houses in a part of the city where the city is kind of developing in a modern way. And they never told us, but We understood that they were missionaries from the United States who had come here with the goal of bringing the gospel to this place. A purely Muslim town. There are no Christians, no Christian congregation, no Catholic church. In other words, there is absolutely nothing here. Also, as I said, there are no synagogues, and much less, that is, the Jewish people do not live here. You are not going to see Jewish religious people. In this city, we will see what is here now and later on. A lot of mosques. That's what predominates due to the Muslim religion here in this place. We're going to get out for a bit, maybe out of the car if I get the chance, and I'll show you a little of what it looks like out there. What you see here, let me try to park so you can see. Look, there it is. You know what? I'm gonna get out here for a bit and I'll give you a brief overview about this topic. Okay, look, I got out of the car to show you a little bit about what this is about. First, I want to show you that over here on this side is the town hall of this place. What you see there, that's the town hall. There in the city of Rahat, it's also located an organization and office that is responsible for taking care of the citizens, those who are unemployed. All those people here are in charge of helping them, and I'm showing you this because at one point this was the center of attraction, but nowadays it isn't anymore. Because nowadays globalization has appeared, shopping malls and everything. Everything that has to do with big shopping malls. But in ancient times, camel travel was used a lot. Camel travel, such as what Abraham did, do you remember? He had a tent in a place called Beersheba. And it says that when they came, do you remember the story it tells? When the angels came, those who came as visitors, it says that he went out and told them to stay. What was it that he had? He had a place to receive people. That was what generated his income when he had this place. It wasn't just to receive these people, but generally what he received was visitors who came all the time. But more specifically, it was the postal mail. Who was the postal mail? They were groups of Nabateans who came on horseback bringing the myrrh. And they used them as people who were in charge of carrying materials or letters or gifts to relatives who lived in another place. Those trips were caravans that lasted approximately about 6 months. And so these people, these places like the one we're in now, ended up buying things from these people that were kind of international. So they brought the product, the textiles, from that, I don't know, from that country, from that nation, so that in the end it would be sold here. So you lived here in this place, and you could buy a product without having traveled all the way to, for example, Iraq. Let's call it Iraq. And you would just buy it at your local store. And that's what local stores were back then. So this group of Nabateans who came on horses brought these products. Well, no, they brought products back then, but it looked like the main stores. What is known as shuk. In the Hebrew language is the marketplace, and in the marketplace, you would come and buy everything at a very affordable price. And at the same time, not only was it an affordable price, but you also took advantage of buying something modern. Nowadays, almost everything has disappeared completely, and the only thing left is people who just sell, like they sell clothing, cheap clothing, shoes, and things like that. There are these Bedouin yuck in different cities in the south because there are also some in Beersheba. What you're hearing is the Arabic language.
And
That's what they're doing there. And how much does everything cost? Here there are also days when they bring vegetables, and back then there were also animals for sale. So they sold sheep, they sold camels, they sold everything, donkeys, everything. Nowadays, only clothing is left. So, well, is this the modern one nowadays, or what's left in our modern era of what a yuck is, an Arab market? From here, we're going to keep going, and I'll keep showing you a bit of the city around, okay? So let's get back in the car and see what else we find here in the city of Rahat. Okay, so we're coming back again now. To the car. I can assure you that it's very, very, very hot out there. So it's good that we can move around here in the car that has air conditioning. I want to keep telling you about the Bedouins to clear up any doubts, because it was left hanging in the air, something I had forgotten because I said that they believed in two currents. One was about those who had stayed, living throughout the entire Middle East region, who were the descendants of Noah. And the second line of thought among the Bedouins is that they are descendants of Ishmael, meaning that they also come from the Egyptian world. As I said anyway, when they settled in the Middle East, they created a very distinct culture. They are called nomads. They are called people who do not settle in one place permanently, but instead move from one place to another. That's why generally a large percentage of them are Bedouins. It's their culture. Living in tents, they live in tents. You'll see that most of them, that's why when we say most Bedouins, they're people who live in tents. That's why they have little houses like that, individual ones, in the middle of the desert, and they move from one place to another. And they live more specifically from things like cheese, goats, taking care of them, and camels. From construction and all those kinds of jobs they can do. That's why it's very odd. And not all Bedouins are convinced by the idea of living in a house or living in a house made of cement. Blocks, apartments, and similar dwellings, like what we're seeing. That's why there are still a lot of people living in precarious conditions, because their culture is like that. Modern Bedouins, those who settle in cities like here, their way of thinking is also somewhat different. The modern ones now they prefer to have houses with air conditioning, in some cases with a pool, and they're gradually modernizing their way of living, right? The other line of thought, as I said, comes from the lineage of Ibrahim. They move from that side. You know what? I'm gonna keep going that way so I can show you a mosque. So you can see, I think mosques are already well known in Central America, South America, and all that, but just so you can see them here too, how they look on this side. If you pay attention, you can't see it very well either, but actually, if you paid attention, the license plates on the vehicles here are Israeli license plates. Why? Because these people are Israeli citizens, and here things get a bit complicated for us, right? How can it be that they are Arabs? They are Muslims, they are Bedouins, and they are also Israelis. Yes, they are Israelis, because remember that Israel, modern Israel, grants citizenship to people who are not Jewish as well. That is, being a citizen of the modern state of Israel is one thing, and being Jewish is another. So you can't mix being Jewish with being Israeli, okay? Being Israeli means receiving the nationality of the state of Israel. Being Jewish means belonging to the lineage of the tribe of Judah, which is completely different. Someone who is Jewish can be Israeli, and someone who is not Jewish can also be Israeli. Therefore, the Bedouins, they are Israelis. Look here at the tower, the minaret. Here we are going to see it. Here I'm going to go around this circle of this mosque. Do you see it there? If you look up, it's like the dome, the one that's known on Mount Moriah. In the city of Jerusalem, almost all of them have domes. That's why you'll see that mosque there in the city of Jerusalem with the dome. Look, I'm going to keep going to show you another one that's over there on the other side. So going back as well while we're heading over there. The cars have Israeli license plates. Because here there's no difference between entering or leaving the city. I mean, here we're not gonna come across any kind of border. Why? They're not people.
Islamist, okay?
I don't want to confuse you, but Islamism has two branches. There are Islamists in favor of peace, and there are Islamists in favor of terrorism. In other words, there are two branches. Why? Because Islamism is mainly a political movement. And everything that has to do with Islam, precisely. It's a place that has to do with the Muslim religion. That is, it's about protecting everything related to Muslims. A Muslim is someone whose holy book is the Quran and whose main leader is the Prophet Muhammad. Okay? More or less like that, a simple summary about who the Bedouins are and how they think what they think. As for their political point of view, they don't have a specific nation in which they feel rooted. Why? Because they are people who move from shop to shop. So, if they are here, they will defend this town here. Look at this mosque, how big it is. And up there, if you pay attention, up. I'm going to stop here for a bit. Do you see on the minaret up there? There is speakers. Can you see the speakers up there? Those speakers? That's because they announce, for example, prayer times. They have 5 prayer times, and during those 5 times, everyone knows when it's time to pray. And wherever they are. They don't necessarily have to come to the mosque. Wherever they are, they join in with the sound of the prayer coming from the mosque. In ancient times, there was a person who had to climb all the way up to the top of the minaret. And from there, they would offer a prayer without sound, that is, in a loud voice. And they would do it out loud for all the people who were relatively nearby. Nowadays, with modernity. So they put up loudspeakers, and what these loudspeakers do is reach a much wider range that they couldn't reach before. So it's quite special. You have to get used to it. At 5 in the morning, whether you like it or not, you hear that people are praying outside, and at different times, they are praying constantly. As I said, 5 prayers for the Muslim people, the Muslims actually, and 3 times a day for the Jews. If you pay attention, there is a lot of construction. They are also building constantly. All the time they are building here in this place. Look, now I'm gonna go a little bit inside this place. There's a school here. I can't go over there because it's a school. I wanted to go to that place. You know what? Should I turn back? Yeah, at least let's go. Let's go as far as they'll let us in. Come on, we're adventurers. Let's see what's there. I might be heading straight into the school. That wasn't my original goal, but it seems to be where I'm going now. Let's see what happens. No, look, we go in and out. It was kind of a shortcut. Inside the school is in there. Everything we had seen, all this big wall. No, it wasn't a shortcut at all. We ended up in the parking lot here. Now I'm really gonna turn back around. And we're going to head back. Well, by the way, you and we get to know each other in this adventure. There you can see the school. There it goes. Let's keep going. Let's keep walking. Let's see. I want to try to get to that other place so we can see a little more of the city. In summary, don't be afraid. This isn't a dangerous city. In fact, when you come and visit, Israel is one of the places you can come to see us. Later on, when we have more time, we're going to visit the Bedouin culture, where we'll come face to face with the culture of our ancestors. These people are relatively modern. We're going to meet with the people from what it used to be before. The tradition, those who dress in desert clothing, who prepare desert food, The hospitality they have is based on the hospitality of Abraham. That's why they are like that. For example, if they invite you to have a coffee, you can't refuse, you have to go and have the coffee. When you have the coffee, you'll probably notice an aroma or a flavor that's different from what you're used to. It's coffee. Here, people drink Arabica coffee, and usually they like Turkish coffee, which has a kind of aroma and has grounds at the bottom. So you just have to drink the liquid and don't drink the whole cup, because at the bottom you'll have the grounds, and that's not good. That's all that's left of the coffee at the bottom, right? So you absolutely have to accept it. You can't say, no, thank you, I just had a coffee at the entrance. You have to accept it. Everything they put in front of you when you're invited to a Bedouin table. You have to consume, not everything, but you have to consume. In other words, you shouldn't be shy. Consume because they appreciate it. When you are, let's say, accepting their culture, you are accepting their food, and for them, it's a symbol that you feel good, you are comfortable. So, as I said before, we are going to come back and explore a little more. There are museums here, the Bedouin Culture Museum. We are going to visit the Bedouin Culture Museum. We are going to eat in a typical Bedouin place, so you can see what Bedouin food is like. A lot of the food they have can also be said to be in the biblical diet. That is, you will find in the biblical diet some of the foods that they have. Because, again, they are based on what was related to Abraham's lineage, that is, descendants of Abraham. Always remember that. The Bedouins are divided into two groups or two lines of thought. On one hand, those of Abraham, and on the other hand, those of Noah. That is to say, they go much, much further back. That is to say, they were already there. They say they were there beforehand. That's why the whole Middle East region, for the most part, also belongs to the people, to the Arabs. Let's continue. Let's keep going for a few more minutes, and we're already leaving the city. There's still a lot to do. And we're going to prepare because we're working on new material, and that new material, we really want to dedicate time to it because it's going to be an incredibly amazing material full of teaching, full of revelation, and you can't miss it. It's an incredible material that you can't miss. Let me see if I remember how to get out of here. I think I do remember. Let's see if you can help me. Do you remember how we got in here? I think I had to go right here. Or I'm getting into an area that has nothing to do with it. I think I'm getting into an area that has nothing to do with it. I don't think this was the way at all, but... Aye. Let's see if it was this way. Let's keep walking. Let's see how far we get. Let's see. This is really interesting. Honestly, I've never been here before. And I don't have global positioning system. I mean, my idea is to come and get in. And somehow, we're going to get out of here. How are we going to get out of here? Now, I really don't know, because I think I went deeper into the heart of the city. I'm probably even more inside the town. How do we exit? I entered to leave. You know what? I don't think we're going to get out at all. I think that every time I go deeper in, I'm burying myself further inside the city. I mean, deeper into the town. So let's do one thing. Let's turn on this street here, and maybe what we'll do is at the next corner, we'll turn again. Or to the left. You know, when I say to the left, I have to picture in my mind which hand I write with. I think so, and here we're going to go to the left. Drivers and taxi drivers, please help me determine if we can make it out. I would appreciate your input. What should I do? Go straight or go to the left? No, I can't go straight. Look, the street is closed over there. So I'm gonna go to the left. Let's go to the left. From here, I'm moving to the right. I know that many of you are thinking how messy the street is, how messy that city is. Please, yes, but remember what I said at the beginning of the video. This is a culture that is not used to living. That is, it's a culture that lives in tents. That is, for them, the order of a house is not really order. The order of a house for them, this is something new, something modern, like, what are we doing here? We should come at night. We should come at night to see what this place is like here and here. If I'm gonna go to the right, I went back to the beginning again. I think I went back to the beginning again. And from here, I'm gonna go to the right again. Let's see what we find. Did you also notice that there are these roundabouts here, like in Jewish cities? Exactly the same, right? There are almost no traffic lights. And it's all for the sake of saving energy. Plus, it prevents accidents. That's Baduk, as it's called in the Hebrew language. That's completely proven that accidents are avoided, the fact of having roundabouts and not having traffic lights. Let's go. How do we get out of here? This seems to be the main avenue from what you can see. Notice that it has 2 lanes. It has a, I don't know what you call it, that thing in the middle, median, boulevard, whatever you call it. Let's try to get past these vehicles. Another thing. Here, the law of the street, meaning traffic signs and all that, is irrelevant. That is, here for the culture, also the Bedouin Arab culture. It's not too much. Maybe in Europe it's different, but here it's not very respectable. Here, it's directly the one who puts the front of the car first. That's the one who will move forward and impose respect on the street. Many of you also call me brother here. Brother here. In our countries, it's exactly the same. On the Jewish side? No, on the Jewish side, it's much more orderly. And it also has to do with the high fines you get on the Jewish side. I think I went off track again. But anyway, I think we're close to the exit now. Alright. Sorry. You know, we had a little cut there of the camera because the camera turned off due to the heat here. Just so you have an idea. We are at 36 degrees, which means 96 Fahrenheit. That is, the temperature is very high. And above all, keep in mind that the camera is almost right up against the car window. Because this way you can have a better view of the city. And that makes the temperature, I don't know if it doubles or triples, but the temperature is much higher. And then the device warns, overheating, I'm going to shut down, and it ends up shutting down, and it doesn't warn you, I'll shut down in 2 minutes. It just cuts off directly. So that's why the image was cut off, so we apologize in advance for that. But we're already leaving the city, and I know because we're already in the central part of the city where the stores are, like the main avenue. Like we said before, and that's it. This is going to take us to the main exit route, where it's going to directly connect us with, finally, the main route. That connects with the Jewish cities, which are, for example, Tel Aviv, Beersheba, the ones that are going to be there, near this city. I want to thank you for joining me on this experience, on this crazy adventure of coming here without global positioning system to enter this place. And I hope you learned and got to know another city here in Israel. And this time, trying to understand a little more about the culture of Israel and how Israel coexists. That is what it's like for Arabs and Jews to live together in Israel. Muslims and Judaism? That is, someone who practices Islam or is Muslim, and someone who practices Judaism. Here they share with each other without any kind of problem. The fact of defending their nation and the fact of living in this nation. As the Israeli scriptures say, the most beautiful nation of all nations. I say this without belittling any of them. Each one has its own beauty. All the land is God's creation, but the Bible says that Israel is the most beautiful of all. And the truth is that Israel has it all. Just as it has summer, it has desert, it has mountains, it has snow, it has seas, it has absolutely everything in a small territory. One of the really big companies we find here at the exit, now as we're about to leave, is something called SodaStream. I don't know if you've heard about that. And it's a Jewish company that gave a lot of jobs to Bedouins. So it's a company that's in favor of peace. And they settled here precisely in this place to show that it's possible to live together, that it's possible to coexist regardless of the religion you practice. We remember that the problem Israel always has is not necessarily the conflict, the fight with religions, but rather it's the conflict with terrorist groups. And that's what the fight has been about for many years, and it continues. I'm already seeing almost the end of the city. We're already leaving, so from here, I say goodbye to you. So let me stop here, and at the next place, wait a little bit. Don't leave. Just wait there a little bit. There are numerous cameras around here. Let's go. I want to see here. I'm going to stop here. Here. I'll stop here. I'll get off there. And we say goodbye. Wait for me. Very well. I got off the cart there just to say goodbye to you so we can see each other. You can see me and I can see you. You might ask how I can see you from afar, but at least I can feel your presence and know you are there. And I hope you enjoyed it, that you enjoyed this walk, where we went out for a little walk around this city and learned a bit more about the cultures here, living in the territory of Israel. Don't miss the next episode. Seriously, the next episode is going to be amazing. And also, there's a special guest in that episode, so be ready. If you are not members of the channel, subscribe. I think this is the first time I'm saying this. Subscribe, share with your friends if this was a blessing for you. And we have a lot more here. We want to bring Israel to your living room. To learn more about archaeology, chronology, and the Bible, register at the Academy at DeLandAcademia.com. And you go there and you can take resources, courses, where we are sharing everything the Lord gave us. We are giving it to you there so you can learn. So, without further ado, blessings, thank you very much for joining us. See you in the next episode of Getting to Know Israel with Bible in Hand. Bye-bye, shalom, blessings.